Blog Talk Radio.
£4.50.
I hope you enjoy it, James.
Oh, it's not me.
It was me.
I've just lost.
I don't even have a PlayStation, no I lie.
£4.50. That's a reasonable price. Skyrim.
You're beaten by the best, Chris.
I was beaten by the best. James is going to show it in his new pickup videos.
I don't even have a PS3. I'll just show it anyway.
Just shafted me.
Hour-long pickups video just on Skyrim.
Oh, there's a legendary edition. Okay, I want the legendary edition now. I don't even know what that has.
Can your PC not play it?
Yeah, it can, but I've got a load for the PS3, and the PS3 is up in the bedroom. It was second PS3 up in the bedroom now.
Guys, we're on air.
Yeah, we're talking about games. Games podcast, we're allowed to talk about games.
Guys, we're still live in Boston.
Stay classy, San Diego. Right, anyway. Welcome to the Retro Renaissance podcast. It's number 5.
Yeah.
Wow.
On the Redux, the redistributed version on the Blog Talk Radio RU network, the Retro Unlim network. We're all part of Retro Unlim now. Well, except for you, Tom. You're still indie.
Yeah, I know. Still freelance asshole.
Still doing the indie shows.
No one wants me.
To high school kids. And now, just to rub salt in the wound, I've just had an email from eBay telling me I didn't win it. You bastards. We have with us tonight Tom. Hi, buddy.
Yeah, pretty damn good.
And we have with us one of the originators, one of the original crew, Mr. Monkey Spaz 5000. How are you, sir?
I'm very fine, thank you. It's glad to be back. It's glad to be back.
But Tom's a cock, correct?
Yeah, that's what I said, because I was already going at 8:30, and I was like, right, 8:30, then I'll finish at 9:30, and I'll go through the living room, I'll watch TV, and then they said 9, and then I said Tom's a cock, and that's how that was.
The show will be 9 o'clock every week from now on. If you want to call in, viewers, we haven't had anyone do this yet, but you can call in on America, fuck yeah, 718-664-9265.
How much is that going to cost someone to call into our show?
Well, if they're American, very much. Otherwise,
so you have to call America in this country to speak to. So if you're in this country, you have to phone America to speak to us.
Or you can call me on Skype, ashanked.troll. And that will be free. You can call into the show and talk to us.
America, call in.
And it will show me who's there on the little switchboardy thing.
Wow.
Pretty cool.
We're so advanced now, man.
We should do like an agony ant section.
Oh, yeah.
I would, but the 3 people that listen to it aren't going to call in.
Dude, that'd be like Games Master or someone. Like someone just been like, I'm stuck on level 3 of Strider.
Exactly. I'm Tetris. I can't start the game. Please, can you help me?
Dear Games Master, how do I make a chicken curry?
Oh, good lord.
I do have. It's nice to have you, James. I have a good feeling about tonight.
Thanks very much.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good.
Oh, yeah.
What have you been playing, Tom? And what have you picked up since the last 3 weeks? Because we had to cancel last because you weren't available because you're a cock.
I know, a massive.
The week before that, you cancelled at the last minute, so I had to do it with 2 other people. So you were also a cock. So how have you been, and what have you been playing?
Last week I was a massive cock, but the week before that I'd say was like a kind of semi-flaccid cock, as opposed to like, But in terms of pickups, I've managed to near enough bar a couple of games finish off my Resident Evil and Silent Hill collection, which is cool. Same with Final Fantasy as well, kind of. In some capacity, I do own all of the games now on a copy, which is sweet.
Do you have all is it Dissidia?
Yeah, I do have Dissidia. Yeah, I didn't get Dissidia. Is it Dissidia 0, 1, 2 something? I don't. There was another Dissidia game. I didn't pick that up. But I did
have a PSP.
Yeah.
I love my PSP recently.
It's awesome. I was playing Final Fantasy Tactics on it the other day, and Valkyria Profile as well. Valkyrie Profile, sorry, I'm thinking of Valkyria Chronicles. Good games. But I also grabbed The Last of Us today as well for PlayStation.
Oh,
which is
good.
Still playing through that at the minute, actually.
Have you started it yet, Tom?
Do you know what? I've actually, when it came out, I sat with a buddy and just kind of watched him play it from start to finish. So I do know what happens. But I'm looking forward to playing it.
Shut up, you pair of gits.
Oh, I won't. Yeah, you're in for a ride, man.
Although,
have you not even played it, Chris, the start or anything?
I'm halfway through. About halfway through, I think. I'm just at the point now where we've just gone off in the truck from his mate, and we're in the city, and they try and grab you, the humans, you run off. So past that bit now, I'm just going through the city.
Yeah, you've got a way to go. You still got a way to go. Also, I started playing through because I haven't played it again for myself yet. I got Resident Evil 6. Started playing through that. My God, man. Ooh, that is bad.
Is it not a good game?
As an action game, it would be fine. If it was just like a kind of what is it? What was that game with the 2 dudes? I can't think what it was. It's basically that mixed with is it Army of 2?
Yes, that's it.
Army of 2 and Gears of War clone, it's absolutely fine. But as a Resident Evil game, it's ridiculous. It's like John Wick and Michael Bay had like retarded butt sex, and that's what came out. It's like really, really just so fucking over the top and cheesy, and just Resident Evil fan is painful. But as an actual game, it's still not that great, to be honest. The controls are awful. Like the camera's really annoying, and it's got some problems. But it's not terrible.
Yeah.
It's not terrible as a game, but as a Resident Evil game, it shouldn't carry the name.
Mm.
And you can tell that because they haven't gone near it since. They've just kind of pretended they didn't bring it out.
Shocking.
But yeah, what have you been doing?
PSPs.
Ooh.
I've been playing through South Park: Stick of Truth.
Oh man.
I played that last night for about an hour or so. It's quite funny.
I was howling with laughter. The gameplay that I've got of it is just me laughing every couple of minutes to some stupid little joke.
Just silence and then laughing randomly.
Just me going, how the fuck did they get away with that?
Dude, I have to know, what class did you pick?
Well, I was going to pick Jew, but I decided my first little play I had, I go on Thief, and now I'm playing Fighter. So
nice.
Bag the Fighter. I like the baseball thing that you do, the special attack, the people do.
Are you playing it with a keyboard?
Yeah, keyboard and mouse, yeah.
It's like it's quite. I found it quite hard to like hit the S button fast enough to have a shit.
Oh, that's what I found as well.
I'm totally battering the crap out of my keyboard.
I've done it once. I've managed to do it once so far. Yeah, can't manage it.
Yeah, you have to hit it well fast.
Mm. Yeah, not best pleased. But yeah, it's a fun old game actually. I'll give it that. But
I'll be curious to see how long it is in the end.
14 hours apparently.
Oh really?
I guess I'm maybe 3 hours through, and it looks like there's a hell of a lot of stuff there. I think it's like a Final Fantasy game almost, where you have acts. So like
I see.
I've watched a couple of reviews of it, and I've seen shit with aliens and all sorts, as you'd expect.
The fact that it's even out is a miracle.
I'm on the hunt for a man-bear pig at the minute, so...
It's the fact that the first part of the game as well, you go and you randomly open doors and just you find naked men masturbating or naked women just standing in the hallway and
you
stuff.
Found the one shagging a horse yet? That was quite good. Yeah, no, it's a very, very good game. I like it a lot. Yeah, that's quite good. And what about you, James? How's your SNES quest going? Your NTSC?
I've not bought any for a while, but that's because I've still got. I went batshit crazy at the start, because I sold all my PAL stuff. So I bought a lot then, but I've still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 that I've not shown in videos or anything. So I've got a lot there, but it's going fine. But I'm holding off until I've maybe got through them for the little videos, and then I'll get some more sort of things. So I went a bit crazy, but I've been picking up some Spectrum games randomly. What else I've got coming this week? Resident Evil 1, 2, 3 for the PS1, which I surprisingly didn't have. So it should be good fun.
Rad.
Awesome.
Rad.
And you've been playing South Park. Anything else apart from Mario?
Link Between what? What the fuck is it called?
Link Between Worlds?
The new one? Is that what?
Yeah.
I've still been playing through that since Christmas. So I don't know how far away I am.
Yeah, the difficulty level really ramps up once you get into Lorule, doesn't it? From Hyrule.
A little bit, I noticed. But once it's still nowhere near difficult. I don't think I've died in the game yet, sort of thing. But I think I've got maybe 3 more. Are they called mage paintings or something again? So I don't really know how far away I am from the end, if that's it after that or not. I do not know.
That still escaped me, that game. I haven't played it yet.
Have you not?
Nice.
Chris, you played it?
What's that? Sorry?
Have you played it?
Played what? Sorry, I missed. You cut out for me. Sorry.
Are you not listening to our conversation that you
Man.
with me?
No, my mate. I've just seen on Facebook. My mate's posted in a vegan group what meat creates the best gravy. So I was. He's just an antagonistic cunt. But yeah, no, go on. Sorry, what's which game?
Have you played Link Between Worlds? Is what I was saying.
Yeah, I've got it. I'm at that stage now. I haven't done the first dungeon, but I've not played much of it. My parents got it for me at Christmas. Yeah. And I'm at that stage where I've just got to Lorule, and I'm just in the first dungeon now. I'm doing the Thief's dungeon.
Yeah. I've done a few of the dungeons in that part, but it's just finding time to play any games recently. But I'm going to try and change.
You did a video about that, didn't you? About
I know.
Finding time to play games.
Yeah.
If you haven't checked out James yet, do. He's on youtube.com/monkeyspaz5000.
That's me.
And he does very humorous videos.
And he is officially the man, according to a recent poll by Time magazine.
By what magazine? I've never heard that.
So by Time, you're actually the man.
That's right. If you look up the man in the Scottish dictionary, you just see my face.
Just a picture.
and it's good. If you turn him upside down, he almost looks normal.
He's got a hairy head.
Hey-oh.
So tonight we're going to talk, and it's good that James is here because James is a huge fan of this particular computer. We're talking about a computer tonight, not a console.
Wow.
And it's the Amiga, or the series of Amigas. We're not going to cut out any. We're not going to say, oh, it's the Amiga 500 only or anything like that. The whole series, right from the start. And I guess...
Can you give it a bit more of a dramatic introduction? Can you say tonight we're talking about the Amiga?
You've just managed that, fine. So, but the Amiga.
Should have had the only Amiga song, so you could play. That would have been class.
Yes.
The Amiga gets overlooked a lot, in my opinion. With it, and at school, nobody really had Amigas.
I did.
I know you did, but you were the only person I knew of that had an Amiga.
I was.
And I guess I was around 12, and you were around 10 at that time.
I guess so. Yeah.
But the Amiga at the time, and I had a 500 plus, had a huge, massively great. Can you hear my wife snoring?
Yeah.
Got Man Bear Pig in the background. Got Sensible, Soccer, Eye of the Beholder, Syndicate, Worms, Lemmings, Cannon Fodder, Pinball Fantasies, Monkey Island, Speedball 2, Lotus Turbo Challenge 2, fantastic, Space Hulk, all these Lost Vikings.
Oh, I just peed a little.
Prince of Persia, great version on that.
Magic Pockets.
Rainbow Islands, Dungeon Master, Xenon 2.
Zool.
Yeah, Zool, yeah, Battle Chess, Bard's Tale.
Another World.
Yes.
Yeah, Another World, Elite 2.
Robocop 3, Fight, Duel.
Shadow the Beast.
Xenomorph.
Chaos Engine.
Oh god, it goes on. Yes.
Chaos Engine was immense on that. Bubble Bobble, IK Plus, but really, the thing that people forget is that the Amiga was supposed to be the successor to the Commodore 64. Yeah. The original Amiga, the Amiga 1000, was so heavily undermarketed and didn't carry the Commodore tag proudly, so people didn't know what the fuck it was. It wasn't really until the Amiga 500 came in, meant a few years later, like that was 1988, I want to say, and around 1990, 1992 was when it was really strong. I think that's right. Am I right there, Tom?
Yeah.
Like 1990, 1993 was when it was really at its boom.
As far as I can remember, for sure.
And it was a massive, big keyboard, like a full-size keyboard, but with a long back at the back, which had all the guts of the computer.
And a huge fucking modulator that stuck off the back.
Oh,
right.
man, that
Massive
fucking thing.
Modulator, which hung off like a flaccid cock and would go up and down, and you'd need to put something in the back to make sure that the port didn't go down.
You always had to put something underneath that bad boy.
That's right.
Yeah, they always went faulty because of that, like bad connections and stuff. I remember.
Exactly that, and it had a mouse. You could get a standard RS-232 joystick to work into it, which was very common at the time, or Kempston, as it was then known, I believe. And so it went through several iterations until it finally got down, and it had a software, and this is the first bit of software any Amiga user will tell you about, and that's Workbench.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like your operating system, kind of like your Windows, and on there you can run various programs, etc., etc. But the Amiga 500 disk drive was actually in the side of the Amiga, and then you could get a separate disk drive to copy onto, or you could get a program, I think it was called F-Copy or something like that.
X-Copy.
Which it would load it into the memory, and then you could do it. The Amiga I've got expanded memory upstairs, and I love it. It's lovely, but it's very yellow. It looks like
yeah, they did go like that weird oxidized.
Doc Cotton's been smoking over it for about 30 years.
Whoa!
Somebody fell.
Cat's knocking off an empty pop bottle. But sadly, after the 1200, it went back up to a home computer, and they were kind of going against the IBM PC. Kind of lost their way a little bit, and they had CD drives and stuff. And so they split it into that kind of computer system, and then they released the CD32.
Bomb.
Which just bombed out, because it was one of the first CD computers, along with the Mega CD, the CDI, and a few others, and it just didn't work out. And in fact, it wasn't really until the PlayStation came along that CD computing became popular.
You have to remember, though, back then, at that time when all these companies were bringing out these kind of CD add-ons, that, I mean, the future was so bright back then. It looked beautiful out there. But
yeah, I mean, and let's not get it wrong here. The CD32 is a great system. But
it's just a consoleized Amiga 1200, though.
Yeah, for sure.
With CD capabilities, but looks nice. It does look nice, doesn't it? You know, and it's quite small.
Yeah.
Small for
Did it give slightly better sound than the 1200?
It did give better sound. It also had better ports on the back, so you could get slightly higher definition. It had 2 megabytes of RAM in there, and then the audio was up to 28. What's the sound thingy? Is it kilohertz?
Yes.
28 kilohertz. So it was slightly better than the 1200. You could have RF audio or video output, or you could actually have S-video or composite.
Wow.
Which was, at the time, was quite a big step forward.
That was a pretty big fucking deal.
For at the time when you had Mega Drives and stuff, which were still running off of RF, and even though I think my PlayStation came with an RF, I think, when I first got it. I could be wrong there.
No, I think you're absolutely right.
Mine did as well, the very first PlayStation.
Yeah.
It had a separate female or male connection on the side of it as well, so you could plug I always used to plug a second console into it.
You also had stuff like you could stick on an external floppy disk, so you could play all your old Amiga games on it, or you could stick in a hard disk or an IBM PC keyboard. So
you can get some ridiculous. I can't remember what it's called, but some ridiculous metal expansion thing for the CD32 that basically sort of turns it back into an Amiga 1200.
Yeah, and
or whatever weird reason you'd want to do that.
Yeah, and because of its it had 9-pin the D subs, the same as the Mega Drive, so you could use a Mega Drive controller on it, which was hilarious when you think about that now, as well as the normal Amiga mouse, which ran off the same port.
Do you know what? I'm looking in an old Amiga magazine where they're basically advertising add-ons for the base system, and there's actually a really kind of rudimentary memory card that you can buy called the Zappo store, and for 30 megabytes of memory, which is quite a lot for those days. I mean, you could fit a lot of games onto that. It's like £169.
I mean,
prices are crazy.
For a 300 megabyte expansion, you're looking at about £400.
I remember when it came out, it was hugely expensive though, and I think that's what killed it basically.
Oh, for sure.
It was just too much. I mean, I bought my Amiga 500 Plus back in the day for 130 quid. It was solid as a brick. It sat there. It's probably still in my parents' loft, you know, alongside my WWF sticker albums and stuff like that.
Nice. I think at that time it was kind of still around that sort of era where people were buying these kind of like home PCs, these home computers, spending lots of money on it and feeling really good about it, like kind of these yuppies with too much money or whatever. But at the same time, all you do is play games on it.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. You could pay 130 quid and have loads of games, most of which were copies on your Amiga second hand, or you could spend $2,000 on a brand new PC that played Doom, and if you were lucky, played Duke Nukem 3D. Yeah, and so the Amiga became the cheap man's PC, and it's what did until I had a PC many years later. You know, because I was able to get. Eventually did find people who had Amigas, who had a back catalogue, was able to get a word processor on there and all that kind of shiz.
I didn't know anybody who had one who actually used it for anything other than playing games.
Yeah, and this was the other thing, you know, despite the fact that it did have a very powerful paint program on it as well, didn't it? Remember?
Yeah.
D-Paint.
D-Paint, and it was like 9 discs long, and it had a special 3D disc and like all this kind of shit.
Oh man.
But it was very much a gaming computer, much like the Commodore 64. You know, don't get it twisted. It was very much a game, and the first memory I have is sitting there with my Zipstick playing Stunt Race FX on it. That was one of my like a very rudimentary 3D kind of stunt car kind of game where you got
Stunt Car Racer.
Stunt Car Racer, sorry, yeah.
That's what it's called.
And that's kind of what stuck in my mind. That and playing a game called Tanks.
Yeah, that's classic.
Where you can move along and then you choose your angle of firing and how long you want to shoot and stuff like that. When you had the wind and all this.
I'm actually, funnily enough, looking at an Amiga format magazine in front of me now from 1993, and the feature is the CD32.
Nice. Yeah, that didn't last.
It's got all the gubbins about it, and it's an Amiga 1200 in 1993.
So is that 93?
How much it cost?
Okay, Jimbo. I've got an Amiga Action from February '94, and the whole midsection is about how much it's flopping.
Is it?
How much it's flopped, and it's like
oh dear.
There's a section
that
about.
Didn't last very long, did it?
There's a really sarky kind of news section, then there's a bit for CD32, and in the corner there's literally just a blank space with a question mark in it. There's nothing
Not
else.
even 6 months and it's flopped.
I think it really gets it really does get underrated though, for those games we were talking about earlier, like Syndicate Worms and Lost Vikings. They were all kind of Amiga originals, and then they were ported across to the consoles.
Yeah.
And how I viewed the Amiga was a very advanced 16-bit console in a computer form, almost verging on 32-bit at times. You know, it was close. I'll say that it was close.
What I found though, like, I know exactly what you're probably going to say here, but I always found for whatever reason it couldn't do platform games very well, or there was not very good platform games on it. And I know what you're going to come back to me with games, but compared to the consoles, the 16-bit consoles at the time, for some reason I don't know what it was.
No, I know what you mean, because every 16-bit console had Sonic for Sega, Mario, you know, even the bloody TurboGrafx had Bonk. You know what? The Amiga had Zool. Yeah, it was.
And Super Frog.
And Party Squad.
Yeah, and it was all, you know, for every good game that came out on the Amiga, there were two terrible ones, weren't there? You know,
Kid Chaos.
But it was a very open to develop for machine. You know, anybody could develop for it because it was all there. You know, you didn't have to buy a specialist bit of kit or whatever. Anybody could develop for it just off the bat with an Amiga. So it very much followed the traditions of the Spectrum and the Commodore 64 with the sort of bedroom programmers and stuff. And as a result, things like the Bitmap Brothers came about.
Classic. So I'm totally going to interrupt you here, but you remember how I picked up that 1200 accelerator card in it?
Yeah.
I found that exact same accelerator card in this magazine. Any ideas how much it was worth
100
back in the day?
100, easy.
How much?
100.
More.
Really?
A lot more.
I'm going to say £299.
£599.
God damn!
That's the exact same card I had.
You
Crazy.
could get into that PC mentality with Amigas to an extent, couldn't you? You know, of always upgrading. So you could get the memory expansion, you could get the accelerator card, you could get an external CD drive. You know, you could get an Amiga monitor. Instead of using a TV, you could get a higher resolution Amiga monitor.
That's what I've got. But yeah.
True that.
Did you ever play Supercars 2?
Oh,
yes.
man. What game?
Probably one of the best top-down races ever.
So
It's good fun that game is, actually.
Yeah, lots and lots of fun. Very micro machine-y.
See, I'm just looking. There's a company called Kix have got this one-page spread in an Amiga magazine, and they ported quite a lot of console games over. There's Street Fighter and Street Fighter 2, Outrun, Bionic Commando, Indiana Jones.
One of the first ports was onto the Amiga, I think. The original
really?
Street Fighter, yeah, the World Warrior.
Oh, damn.
Outrun's one of the worst Amiga games.
Yeah. But then Lotus Turbo Challenge 2. You know, it's one of the best ones.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And Shadow the Beast, that was very, very good. You know, much better on the Amiga.
A lot of the times. Go.
Oh, sorry, I was just going to say, in terms of, like, it's not the greatest game, but, like, some of the role-playing games on the Amiga were pretty fantastic, kind of point-and-click sort of adventure and role-playing games as well.
You had Monkey Island.
Yeah, for sure. There's one in particular called Universe, which is not it might not be the best game overall, but in terms of like graphics, like today, even to look at, like it's absolutely stunning. It's kind of like a sort of very cyberpunky kind of Blade Runner-y sort of vibe to it. But you should look it up. It's called Universe. Like the graphics are all kind of hand drawn, and they just look absolutely stunning. Like even today.
Yeah, there's a couple of good ones. Eye of the Beholder was a very famous one, which was Dungeons and Dragon one. And Bard's Tale, which was on kind of the Atari ST, the Apple II, the Amiga. It did come out on PC, and it was even on the NES, I think, Bard's Tale. Quite a good sort of...
yeah, I'm pretty sure it was.
You had a static picture every time you went on, in the sort of way of Goonies 2.
We did get the video game adaptation of LOLO on the Amiga.
Did you ever have any sort of homebrew games on your Amiga?
Back in the day?
Yeah, any kind of like original kind of games. Do you know what I mean? Like
PD discs.
Yeah.
Yeah, we used to get a lot of those back in the day, actually.
Yeah, magazine cover discs and whatever. Had a lot of PD
sort
games.
of like there was a Zelda rip-off one, wasn't there, on the Amiga at one point? Do you remember? And it was on that came like fully playable first world demo or whatever, which was really very much in the sort of idea of link to the past.
Yeah.
Yes, I vaguely remember what you're on about.
Yeah, there was. I mean, the reason why I did the Amiga is it's very easy to emulate nowadays, and in fact, through doing my research, I found out people have actually created 12 centimeter by 12 centimeter boards, which are the equivalent of an Amiga 1200 now, which you can buy.
Yeah.
Nice.
I've heard of that.
Which is amazing. In fact, I'll just find out what it is. Here it is, the Mini Mig.
Nice.
Which is, it's just, it's a re-implementation of an Amiga 500 using all original parts.
So, is it original chips and whatnot?
No. It's all original chips, so no Amiga chips, and it has a SD card layer on it.
Bizarre.
Yeah. Similarly, people have released open source stuff to turn a Raspberry Pi into a thing. So
I've got a Raspberry Pi, but I've never tried it actually.
You can turn that into a Mac thing as well. All sorts.
Yeah.
It's all the source code for Mini Migs available online now. It's all there. It's you can buy the chips online and stuff. But yeah, it's a very cool system, and really, people just I don't feel like it gets enough notice in the retro world. Do you know what I mean? It's not.
No.
It's not mentioned enough. It's not thought of kindly enough.
It would be very strange if it did get the kind of retroactive boom that like the NES stuff has got over the last sort of 5 years. It'd be really strange to sort of see people walking around with like sort of like Amiga t-shirts.
The thing is that there is a big call for it, but it's very much like a very almost like a chess club type thing. Do you know what I mean? Like a private members club.
Yeah.
There's the guys who are there from a company called Amiga, which is obviously like an Amiga eBay trader.
Yeah.
It was very much like lots of in-jokes about the Amiga and wasn't seen as a kind of thing there when they were there at Play. And I was talking to Roger from the 16-Bit Brothers, who's a huge Amiga fan, huge. Still collects it to this day, and I think he got Prince of Persia while we were there at Play Expo, actually. And he thought much the same thing. It didn't get enough notice, and it's just fantastic. He was saying, I think on their video they did a masturbate as your favourite beat 'em up. He was saying Golden Axe on the Amiga was his favourite.
Huh?
I never knew it was on the Amiga.
Yeah, I've never played it, but I was aware. Like,
It's had some crazy ports, the Amiga. It really
some of
is
it's quite limited because it's quite limited though. Some games because it's only got the one button.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's
that really bugged me back in the day. I could put on a Mega Drive controller, but all three buttons on it did the same fucking thing, and you were like, "Come on!" And it was obviously out there trying to make the keyboard and the mouse the main controls. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I've noticed on the Amiga 1200 though, like a second fire button does work in some games.
Yeah, but it wasn't really utilised enough, and so it became quite an arcadey type machine. Do you know what I mean when I say that? Like, if you look at like the fighters on it, like dare I say, Rise of the Robots and Street Fighter and stuff, it was all one button stuff, which is very difficult to pull off.
It was
and nobody wants to play a fighter with a keyboard and mouse.
No.
So, I mean, the zip stick, that was the classic one that everyone had, didn't they? They had a zip stick. It was $19.99. You could always get them in, and they worked across all of them. If I sent you one, in fact, didn't I, James?
Yeah, I've still got one sitting behind me.
Yeah, it's and it's to me it's the classic joystick. It's the joystick I'll always remember, not the Atari 2600 or my beloved Dragon 32 joystick with painful fucking butt on it. But it will always be the zip stick, that perfect kind of shape with the knob on the end of the stick.
Yep.
And that had two buttons. And that's what always got me. I was like, why has it got two fucking buttons?
Yeah, a lot of the joysticks had more buttons, but they were all just secretly just one.
Yeah, exactly.
Why?
So,
that is awesome.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, I always look to like the Sidewinder, things with a little fucking flip button and then you get the eject button underneath it and all that, and I was like, nah, bollocks. Zipstick's fine, because those 12 buttons, they'll only do the same thing.
Oh, yeah. Every time.
But yeah.
What I'll say is, for anybody who's interested in the Amiga, I'd say emulate it to give you a taste of it, but I think it's one of those things that ideally you have to play on the proper machine, on a proper little monitor if you can.
For sure, it can't be the real thing.
No.
The Amiga's immense. I love the Amiga. Try it. Play games like don't look at the console ports. Oh, well, I can play that on the SNES. Well, yeah, maybe you can fucking play it on the SNES, but you know what? That was better on the Cannon Fodder was better.
Yeah, aye. Miles better.
Syndicate was better. Speedball was better.
Are we gonna give our personal Amiga recommendations?
Chaos Engine for me. Chaos Engine is always my recommendation. If you want a game that shows off what the Amiga can do, Chaos Engine.
Such a good game. The soundtrack as well. Oh man, so good.
about Tom? What's your earliest memory? How did you get your Amiga? What happened with it? What's your story behind your Amiga ownership?
I think the earliest memory of it, my parents aren't exactly yuppies, but I think it was at a time when, you know, like the idea of owning a computer of any kind in your home was quite cool. Do you know what I mean? Like, especially to like kind of like sort of older gents, like in 40 who likes gadgets and, huh?
Yeah. Used to go around Nick's house and he had his Amiga set up on a desk and stuff like that, and I was like, bloody hell, I've never seen that before.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It was quite a yuppie thing. For
sure, and I think my dad's kind of tried to. His famous story is he sort of fancied himself as a bit of a dab hand at maybe having to go at programming. And I can still remember to this day him spending about 13 hours programming this tiny kind of 6-pixel red rocket on a black background. And he basically managed to program that animation of it just zipping to the top of the screen, and that was it. It took him 13 hours, and from then on he kind of...
What did he program it in?
Do you know what? I can't remember what the hell he used. That was the other thing I remember as a kid, actually, was just like dicking around with Workbench, not knowing what the fuck you were doing, but feeling like a little bit of a hacker.
And then making say
my dad used to take Workbench manuals with him fishing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and what he'd do is he'd learn how to do stuff on Workbench, and then he'd be like, see what I've learned this morning in 3 hours? I was like, congratulations, you've taught me what you learned in 3 hours in 2 minutes.
That is so cool.
Yeah, no, he used to do it. He used to learn stuff like the clock functions, because you could set alarms on it and all sorts of stuff.
It's so awesome. The main thing about the Amiga back in the day was, of course, like, I didn't really know how to do it, being sort of, my tiny brain couldn't really comprehend how it worked. My brothers would always bring home sort of pirated games, like games and stuff. That classic DRM, which would basically involve, like, as soon as you put the game in, it would go, turn to page 32 of the manual, line 6, column 4, what is the word? It's like, there's your copy protection right there. Or you get one of those, I remember in Worms, actually, you got this, like, little black wheel that you had to spin around, like this little black plastic.
Yeah, there was a few games that had those,
You couldn't fucking read them, even in the light. It's like, well, I've paid for this and I still can't play the game.
I think it's obviously so you could photocopy it, somehow dismantle it and photocopy it.
Oh, it's good times, though.
But it was the first time I learnt about the read and write mode of discs, where you had that annoying little black square up and down.
Yeah.
Wanker, that one.
Settlers as well, that just popped into my head.
Settlers.
Yes.
Classic Amiga game.
Great game. Great Amiga game. And still going today in some form or another.
Yeah.
Populous.
Yep.
Yeah, Populous.
Similar ilk. Did you ever play Infestation?
No, actually.
I don't remember.
It was out on the Amiga, the Atari ST, and the PC. And it was just basically just loads of aliens laying eggs, and you had to kill them all. Before it became an infestation.
Have you played that? Sorry, it came from the desert.
No, I haven't played that. What's that about? Tell us all about it.
Oh, you have to play it. It's like, it's got loads of speech at the start saying like a biblical prophecy and all that malarkey, and like total cinematic intro, and you're basically in this desert and there's giant ants and stuff. It's bizarre, but it's well worth playing.
That's pretty damn cool.
There was a lot of good games. It was the kind of system where you wouldn't have felt that it would have been a weird thing in the future iterations of it for Fallout to be on, for example, or Fallout 2. It was that kind of system. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
New Zealand story?
Yeah.
Yes.
Another great one.
I'd say that the Amiga, if it's got anything that's got some real great point and click sort of adventure, sort of role play kind of games. There's a real good one called Liberation, which is, unfortunately, it's on a CD32, but it's worth checking out. Beneath the Steel Sky, Under the Temptress, the guys,
Beneath the Steel Sky.
Guys that made Broken Sword, Alien Breed, Team 17 games, you can't really go wrong. Like you said, Syndicate. There's a game called Frontier Elite 2.
That is amazing.
Which isn't a point and click, obviously, but
it's pretty buggy, but it's amazing.
It's very ambitious for its day. A great point and click adventure. Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis on Amiga as well.
Yeah, very cool.
Have you tried Future Wars? Have you heard of that? A point and click game.
I've heard of it. I've never had a chance to play it.
Really, really good with really good music and stuff.
There's also a game. I will definitely check that out. There's also a game called Dreamweb that I remember as a kid that
Top down?
It was, yeah. Basically, it's the first game that I can remember seeing an 18 sticker for, because there's basically a sex scene in the middle.
That's right, yeah. You're a guy with black curly hair, and it's kind of like a dystopian future.
His face is always on the side of the screen, if you remember.
That's right, yeah.
It's always on the left side of the screen. But yeah,
he's always looking on, and you can wear shades at one point.
Yeah, that's it, yeah. The earliest sex scene I can ever remember, but apparently Golgo 13 did it before that on the NES. As far as I know, but yeah.
I'm sure Leisure Suit Larry did it before that.
I'm sure he did.
Even in text version.
How do you think the likes of the Atari ST at the time stood up to the Amiga?
Ooh. Do you know, the Atari ST for me was always a bit of a non-competer. It was... If you had a niche computer, which was the Amiga, the ST was even more of a niche, because anything you could get on the ST, you could get on the Amiga, and then more.
When was the ST's day though? Was it around the same kind of time as like the Coleco Adam and
early Mega Drive was the ST's day.
Oh, okay.
But then it was It kind of died out because it never progressed from there.
Yeah.
We have a comment from John, JL76 Gaming. He says, "Enjoying the show, Chris. Loved my Amiga back in the day. So many classic games like Monkey Island, SWAS, Cannon Fodder, Lotus Turbo Challenge, Flashback. I'm emulating Amiga on my PSP at the moment. It's a bit problematic, but I have some games working. Not the same as the real thing though. Have forgotten all about X-Copy. My favourite Amiga games. Rockstar Ate My Hamster."
Oh, yeah, that was good.
And he said he remembers Dreamweb as well, Tom.
Yeah, man. Great game.
Dreamweb was it was the daddy back in the day. It was just it did come out on the PC, didn't it?
I'm pretty sure it did. Yeah.
Yeah. But
I tell you what, I'm not big on sports games, but Brutal Sports Football. Does anyone remember that from the Amiga days?
I know what it is, but I never played it on the Amiga.
So you smashed the fuck out of each other. Sorry,
yeah,
pardon my
I
French.
think I actually played it on the Atari Jaguar, but yeah, I know what it is.
Yes, the Jag version. Jag got quite a lot of Amiga ports, actually, thinking about it. It got Zool, it got Brutal Sports, it got Cannon Fodder.
Yeah, a bit bizarre, but yeah, it did.
It's kind of strange. Got Theme Park as well, but I guess that wasn't strictly an Amiga game. Was it? Did it come out on Amiga first?
I don't know, but it was definitely out on it, obviously.
I don't think it was released on PC at the same time.
Aha.
But yeah, very very much good at Sims. The Amiga games, obviously. There were lots of games which were done really well on it. James, how did you feel about the Amiga? What was your first impressions and such?
I was friends, well, still am, with two brothers who originally had an Atari ST, and we thought that was the dog's danglies, and I think they were on about getting an Amiga, and I used to stay over at their house every Friday night, and one Saturday morning, a big package turned up, and it was their Cartoon Classics Amiga 500 Plus pack, and since then I got sucked into the Amiga, and I think I eventually owned one, actually. I spent all my time at theirs playing it with them, but I think I eventually owned it, and then a 600 as well after that. But yeah, that was through them that I got interested in it.
This is my thing. I never had any original games. All of mine were copied. Did you ever have any original games?
Yeah, man.
Majority of mine were copied as well, actually.
I've got loads of Amiga big box games.
Oh, I've got none. I gave some away recently just because obviously I just used the compact flash card and whatever. But I was thinking I might start collecting them now, like games, not floppy disks. But
Actually, I think I've got some here. Sorry, carry on. What have we got? Assassin! Oh, man, what a game.
that's good music. That's what I find as well with the Amiga, that the majority, like, a lot of the games, I think, the music's amazing in it, but the games might not be so amazing. Do you know what I mean? Even a bad game might have absolutely amazing music.
Yeah.
Oh, man, yeah. Definitely.
Here's the little retro brothers have said as well. They've tuned in. This is a good one for feedback tonight.
Yeah.
They've spent a lot of time with the Amiga 500 lately. It's an excellent system with. Sorry, I'm just trying to.
You're trying to find Skyrim on eBay again, aren't you?
No. Oh, here you go. Excellent system. Even the Bill and Ted game isn't bad on it.
Bill and Ted? I never knew there was a Bill and Ted game for it.
Well, there was. I don't know if I agree. Well,
I'm not sure how good it was, but they seem to like it.
Someone mentioned Heimdall earlier. Was that you, Chris?
I'm sure it was excellent.
Heimdall.
Someone mentioned what? Sorry?
Did you mention Heimdall earlier?
Heimdall.
Yes.
I thought I heard somebody say it, I think.
Yeah, that's a good game. Another good game.
I might have done, I guess.
I said it earlier as well, but Instant Until Court is good too. Another point and click.
Yeah. You did say about that, yeah.
Star Trek 25th Anniversary was pretty good on it as well.
Never played that. You ever play Walker?
Yeah.
Texas Ranger.
Cool.
Walker, Texas Ranger. No, Walker was awesome. You were kind of like it's like an Ed 209 thing.
Yeah.
Shooting really tiny sprites.
You played it with the mouse and the joystick at the same time.
Yes. Oh man, that was cool. That was a cool game.
Cool.
So, what was the before we go, we've probably got about 12 minutes left. What were the downfalls of the Amiga? I mean, the 32 flopped. We know that, and we know the reasons why.
Yeah.
But what was bad about it?
Well, James?
Nothing. I don't know. It held up very well, considering obviously the limitations of the floppy disks and whatnot.
It's probably due to just extremely shitty budgeting by Mr. What's his fuck at Commodore?
Is it Jack somebody, or is that
Jack Tramiel?
That's it.
It never really had much marketing going for it. You know, you had these massive marketing campaigns. Sega does what Nintendo.
True.
You never saw anything outside of those Amiga magazines. If you were looking on, you think, well, what the fuck do I want a computer for? You know, I could get a piece.
I'd also find is you'd go to your Currys or your Comet or whatever it was, and you'd see a huge Super Nintendo display, or even an Amstrad GX4000, or do you know what I mean? Whatever. You'd never seen an Amiga out on display playing games or anything like that.
I think with the Amiga it was more like kind of maybe late night infomercials, like the fucking CD I had, where it was just like a kind of half-hour looping video of just software and like things like that ball. Is it the 3D ball bouncing around the screen?
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Shit like that. I'm not too sure. But I was going to ask this earlier actually. In terms of sales figures, like it kind of feels, I could be just fucking bullshitting, but it kind of feels like the Amiga had a bigger following over here in the sense that microcomputers were bigger in this country than they ever sort of were in America and places like that. Latched on more sort of, what was like NES Fever in America at the time. Yeah. Whereas over here, Master System was bigger and we were all kind of still fucking around with Spectrums and Amigas at that time.
Yeah, Spectrum Commodores and whatnot, aye.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to know, like, whether just, it just didn't really take off in the same way in a lot of the bigger countries than it did sort of, I mean, it felt huge in this country when I was a kid.
I'm having a look.
I don't think in America it just didn't take off, did it? And that was the market to get in on for video games.
Yeah.
That and Japan, obviously. You couldn't get in there. I don't think. It was kind of almost like a gated community where it had console or nothing.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is a real shame.
I'm looking at something here. It says this is all very rough estimates, but it says the Amiga sold like 1.5 million units in the UK, whereas it sold America 600,000. So there was quite a massive difference if that was accurate.
Wow.
So
yeah, when you consider the differences in market and stuff, you know, it's
the size of obviously America as well compared to this country. You'd think. Do you know what I mean? They could have potentially sold a lot more.
If there are any American listeners listening right now, were you one of those 600,000?
There you go. Little retro brothers get in contact. You know, if anyone did, it would be their old man who had one. You know.
Awesome.
You going to bed, sweetie? I'll see you
Not
later.
yet, honey.
She's not. There's been no piss taking tonight. I'm very impressed. But yeah, no, it's a very strange one, and the potential there. And then like I said, those Amiga games like the Chaos Engine and all that would have sold huge over in America. Worms, Jesus, I mean,
Yeah.
Worms took off there in such a huge way. I remember I actually had the SNES version as well, and I had the Amiga version. I thought, why the fuck would anyone buy this on the SNES? You know, I know. The Amiga, but nobody had an Amiga. You know, it was such a small thing. Everyone had a Mega Drive or a SNES, you know, or both.
I can still remember getting Worms in the box, the big white box for Christmas.
Yeah.
I can't even remember what year that must have been. There must have been about 95, I guess.
Games as well, obviously a bit like PC nowadays, but they were a hell of a lot cheaper. You get like games for $6.99 and whatnot. Do you know what I mean? In the sort of the cassette tape like boxes, but for floppy disks, if that makes sense.
Oh man, I've still got some. I was looking through some of the Spectrum tapes and Amiga boxes found the other day. Some of them have still got receipts in them.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Pretty mad.
But yeah, no, the Specky game that one of the big box ones I've got, Ace, has that on, has the price tag of $44.99.
For a spec game.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
And that came with the DRM where you looked on the tape thing and you could see it with the special key and
Hope it came with Spectrum. That's crazy.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is, but people paid it, you know, and it wasn't the Specky at the time. You know, it was cool.
Yeah.
You know, you can deny that. Dizzy was cool. You know, and the other problem, and this was the main one with it, I found, was it didn't have a mascot. Do you know what I mean? Like, didn't have have a Sonic.
It kind of did.
Oh,
For a little while, it had the Quavers dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did actually, very briefly.
What was that game? Was it called Pushover? Blocks?
Yeah.
Like Domino Blocks and Ants? Yeah. Oh, man.
I remember that.
I'm old.
But Psygnosis as well. So many great games made for them for that machine.
And Core.
Yes.
Oh, it's a sad day.
No, it's a good day. We're reliving our memories.
No, that's true. It is a good day. Son of a bitch. Okay, for an Amiga 4000, 6 megabytes of RAM.
This was
5
released after the 1200.
Yeah, that's right. This is Amiga 4000, 6 meg of RAM, 525 megabyte hard drive, £2,500.
Oh my God! See, that's where it's just like that's just silly price. You can surely get a much better PC.
But you can get these are the action packs, Amiga 1200 action packs plus hard drive for 2 megabytes of RAM, 209 megabytes hard drive for £649. But you get a free copy of Dennis the Menace, D-Paint, Wordsworth 2, and Wordsworth Print Manager.
How much was a Mega Drive back then? £150 or something?
Yeah, for sure. Oh my God, the Amiga 32 only cost £200 at this point.
That's when it was bombing.
Oh, badly. Yeah, the difference between, because they'd sell like kind of, you could buy a 600 without hard drive, but the difference in, like, you could have a 1 megabyte RAM machine or a 2 megabyte RAM machine, and the difference would kind of be £100 each way.
Yeah.
It's like £100 per megabyte of RAM that you were putting into the system.
It's crazy, like.
It is. Oh my God! Sorry. Just that just looking at bare drives this must be for the 1200. I'm not sure. For a 4 gigabyte drive back then, so that would have been fucking a lot, basically. £2,699.
Yeah, 4 gigs a lot for an Amiga, man.
Oh yeah, for a 4 gigabyte hard drive. I mean, that's I guess that's for if you're a fucking developer or something. What the hell are you doing with 4 gigabytes back then?
I know, that's crazy.
Rendering those first-person scenes in Jurassic Park, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, that's the thing as well. The Amiga was used for a lot of CG stuff. Did it not have something called the Toaster or something?
Oh, yeah.
And it could do a lot of... I'm sure it was used for Star Trek and stuff.
Yeah, that's right, actually. Oh, my God.
Well done.
Video Toaster is what it was called.
That's
So
it.
I'm sure that's what done a lot of the graphics for, do you know what I mean, the CG for the Star Trek spaceships and whatever.
Yeah. Good job, Jimbo.
Yeah.
It was. I'm really not sure, and I'm sure there's been a fucking documentary somewhere on it. What happened with it? You know, what made it go wrong?
I guess it was just newer systems came out, it ventured into CD-ROM. It wasn't a good idea. That section got completely buried. Like I think literally there was a ton of CD32 systems that were literally just like liquidated. I think as like we came into the era of a lot of the other kind of companies that had tried this crashed on the box. You had Nintendo, which were going back to, well, they never really went with CD software. They stayed with cartridges. Saturn was coming out. PlayStation was like kind of hot on its heels. And I think all the other companies kind of died out and called it a day around sort of 1994, 95, really. I mean, that was kind of the death of Atari. Like, 3DO was gone at that point, you know. It just cost like fucking way too much money to buy one. And I think Amiga kind of just got caught up in that as well a little bit.
It's just a lot of it's to do with the internal management of Commodore, apparently.
I imagine so.
Thing just went tits up by
wrong people at the helm.
Sneaky Jack, whatever his name is. He was up to tricks left, right, and centre all the time, was he not?
He was, yeah. Well, he worked at Atari, and pretty much everyone that worked at Atari, like, fucking, they were just squandering millions, like making $1 million and squandering it in a day, like.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a sad day, though.
What note to end it on? What somber note, as we are almost but in closing, do check out Amiga.
How much do they go for these days?
Not much, man.
£80 for a 1200, maybe 80, 100. Unless you're Chris and you can pick them up for nothing at Kirby's Hills or whatever.
Free cycle. I'll go back to now off the free cycle. Let's have a look. Amiga 500 Plus. Buy it now. 70 quid with loads of software. In fact, Cartoon Classics version, 200 quid box.
Damn. Shit, we're out.
We're out. Thanks very much, guys. This has been Chris Shanked, and thanks again, James.
Welcome.
And Tom.
Whoop,
See you later.
Whoop.
There you go.
Bye, Amiga.
Bye, Amiga.
Wow.